heart of retail is the customer, as consumer behavior has undergone a massive shift over the past few months. Online shopping in the region and globally has seen exponential growth. Referring to Redefining Consulting's recent report, among the more matured e-commerce markets in the GCC, online retail in the UAE is forecasted to cross $6 billion by the end of 2020. Likewise, in KSA, e-commerce is expected to grow rather rapidly too. As retail businesses are rethinking and re-strategizing to adapt to a changing business environment, our webinar today on redefining online customer experience with tech will focus on not only creating a convenient, but a delightful shopping experience online. So without any further ado, let me introduce our stellar lineup of speakers this afternoon. Joining us today are Leena Khalil, the co-founder of Mum's World. Leena is responsible for the developmental strategy and growth of the business in the GCC. Leena previously worked for Liberata, a leading business process outsourcer. She also worked as an investment banker at San Francisco Investment Bank. Leena has extensive experience in developing technology-driven processes that increase access, reduce costs, and improve quality. Our next speaker is Nader Amiri. Nader is the founder of Grocer, a UAE-based online grocery delivery platform. Prior to founding Grocer, Nader was the group brand manager for Coca-Cola and has been part of several FMCG companies such as Kraft Foods and Unilever. Our next speaker is Gustavo Smidt. Gustavo is the Chief Product Officer at Numshi.com. He's an award-winning product nerd, as per his LinkedIn profile, and is obsessed with growth through mind-blowing user experiences. Gustavo has worked with online businesses such as Google, Dobizzle, and Virgin Mobile in the past. Our next speaker is Nick Vinckier. Nick is the head of growth for Chalhoub Group's luxury beauty concept Faces. Nick is responsible for steering the brand's omni-channel journey in the region. In the last few years, Nick has given various keynotes in the region, in Europe and beyond, on transforming and growing companies in a digital-first era, based on his personal experience as both an entrepreneur and consultant. Moderating our panel today is Katia Kachan, the General Manager MENA at Brandquad Dubai, a tech company helping brands and retailers with their digital transformation journeys. Katia is an alumnus of INSEAD, an ex-investment banker, and has cross-border business development experiences in luxury, fashion, retail, and tech. I invite you, Katia, to take over the floor, to do a few polls, understand our audience, share some insights, and moderate what promises to be an exciting discussion. I'll join you later. Over to you.
Thank you. Many thanks, Justina. It's fantastic to be on this panel discussion and have a great topic, customer experience and tech. Well, to give you a bit of a perspective, so Brandquad is a B2B digital collaboration platform that helps retailers and brands manage their e-commerce activity. And our core expertise is in digital product management and e-commerce intelligence. So everything which is around competitive analysis of the market, assortment optimization, and pricing strategy. It's also very great to have such a lineup of speakers. So thank you very much for joining us. And now, as we have the clear understanding of our panelists, let's see who is actually in the audience. And we'll do also, as we are speaking about customer experience, we would like to do a small survey about what you have experienced online and what were the major challenges, so that our panelists can actually comment on that. So let's start with the first question of the poll. Could you please put it on the screen?
Yes.
You're a retailer, a brand, an online marketplace, or a service provider. So basically, we see that the service providers for retail are the biggest part. Then we have also retailer, Omni-Channel, which is really great, and 12% of brands. And last but not least, we have around 7% of attendees from online marketplaces. So we hope that this conversation will be useful for everyone. Now let's go to the second question, is about your customer experience. And actually it's very great to use this opportunity and to ask our honorable panelists on how they tackle these challenges in their everyday activities. So can we actually launch the second question, please? What factors drive your loyalty for a specific e-commerce website or application? And you can choose 3 most important factors. So whether it's competitive pricing, variety of products, high quality images and rich content, or maybe personalized suggestions, the enrichment of customer reviews and comments, consistently reliable delivery, or maybe ability to pay with various options. So please choose 3, any of them. So basically competitive pricing is the most important factors for maybe post-COVID-19 consumers.
Yeah.
Shop and to stick to an online platform. Then of course, variety of products, variety of supply. High quality images and rich content is the 3rd largest answer. And also we see that 73% of people answered it consistently reliable delivery. And I believe it's also skewed because of COVID-19 situation when we had to wait for 2 to 3 weeks to be delivered. So maybe any of speakers, could you comment on what you see? And maybe you can share with us the success stories from your own experience, how you tackled these issues. Maybe we can start with Nader from Grocer, because I believe that the grocery e-commerce is very relevant nowadays. So Nader.
Absolutely. No, I definitely agree with that. And I think one thing that we follow always as a marketplace is same store prices. So, you know, we work with a lot of great partners, you know, larger stores like Union Co-ops, Sharjah Co-ops, Ajman Co-ops, and so on, that provide fantastic prices, offers, and so on. And that is very important, we believe, from a customer point of view, to offer the same store price. So that should never be a barrier to the customer in terms of what I get through online and through delivery is different from what I would get from the store. And that is definitely something that, you know, we regularly leverage in terms of, you know, the messaging, in terms of same store pricing, the regular offers and seasonal offers that come on board as well.
Fantastic. Well, Leena, maybe you can comment actually on the variety of supply, because I know that you have products coming from across the world, right? And with the disruption of supply chain, could you please explain how maybe you manage the situation to still keep on the varied supply for your customers?
So today, Mom's World has 250,000 products. And as you suggested, we do source globally. But for anything that is mandatory or essential to a mom, we have it locally. We make sure we have it locally, whether it's through a local partner or we stock it locally. And the way we look at the variety is, we don't say, okay, we do have an enormous collection of products, but we say, do we have the item that helps a mom at every point in her journey? From the minute she's pregnant, during delivery, weaning. So we look at what the consumer is doing and what she needs in all the stages, and we make sure that we deliver a rich collection. So it's not a dump of like 250,000 products. It's basically, you know, great products for weaning, great products for 1-year-old, great products for outdoor, indoor, and it's basically living with the consumer. But one of the key things about our what we do is trust, because we deal with parents and mostly new parents. And it's a very new and very worrying and scary, like anxieties are very high when you're having a child. It's very important that there's trust. So all the questions or the options, the underlying thing for working with the e-commerce site is, okay, it's the payment options. But before you get multiple payment options, you have to trust the payment options. Before you have variety, you have to trust that the items are original. Before you book a delivery, you have to trust that they will deliver. So there's multiple levels, and every one of them, you have to trust that platform will give you all these things. And everything else listed in your questionnaire, I think, is a bonus. But I think Mom's World's goal is to gain the trust of the consumer because she's a mom and a parent, and it's a very difficult time in her life. And then we move on to all the, bells and whistles that e-commerce provides.
And thank you, Leena. And actually, we will tackle the question of trust later on. So now let's start with the third question. Could we put it, please, on the screen? And it will be the last question for our audience. And thank you very much for sharing the insights, of course. Third question is, what was the main reason of your previous bad customer experience online? Either it's impossible to find the products I like, poor quality of product data, so insufficient images or product description, too distant delivery date. So basically, yes, you have to wait up to 4 weeks for the product to be delivered. Then low quality of the website or mobile app, meaning that either it doesn't work or maybe the speed is very low. And last but not least, products received did not correspond to the description online. And I believe all of us have these anecdotes when you purchase something and then the product is completely different from the reception. And so let's see what are the aspects that are most important for our audience. 30%, of course, too distant delivery date, again, due to COVID. Then 23% products received did not correspond to the description online, which is a real challenge. The third largest is low quality of the website and mobile app. So Nick, do the answers correspond to what you thought you would see?
Absolutely, of course. I think with the period that we just faced, delivery was very chaotic. It was very hard to deliver, especially, I don't know if people are tuning in from Saudi Arabia, but we have seen big challenges over there, obviously, to deliver in time in Saudi Arabia. But I think it then comes down, it boils down to trust, as Leena already rightfully mentioned. I think if you build that relationship with your customer and you promise something, it's never good to overpromise and underdeliver. It's always better to underpromise and overdeliver. And I think in this period, one of the learnings that we took, I'm just going to speak for ourselves, is to be very upfront and very honest with the customer, and the customers actually they accept it. So it's better to say sorry and explain. Yeah, it's going to take 3 weeks actually to deliver this, or up to 3 weeks, because A, B, and C. This is happening. We're seeing this. People are stuck. We don't have enough drivers, and then we just give the open question: are you happy with this? Yes or no? Or do you want to cancel the order? And most of the people said, well, it's okay, we will wait. And then if you deliver on time within a longer period of delivery, then you're actually delivering your promise. I think that's one of the biggest learnings that we have. You can extend, you need to update your promise. I think that's one of our biggest learnings.
Thank you, Nick. Gustavo from Namshi, maybe you can also comment. Well, from my personal perspective as a consumer, I think Namshi is one of my favorite platforms because everything is going perfect. I actually bought sneakers on your during COVID. And from the supply side, great variety, also personalized offers with the suggestions, etc. So how do you manage it? Is there anything?
That's great to hear. I mean, we have a great last mile team, our own in-house team in the UAE, so we deliver pretty fast. So most of the deliveries are same day, which is great. So I was just thinking while I was hearing the other speakers. So if online will take a share of offline retail, it has to be better somehow, right? So usually it's better in terms of selection, so you have more stuff to choose from. Convenience or price. So if you don't want to fight the pricing war, then you know the delivery is very, very important. So if it takes 20 days for the product to arrive, they will not buy again. And of course the whole supply chain was affected during the COVID situation, but we were working every day, weekends, adapting, changing things getting new couriers, seeing who's working, who's accepting cash on delivery. So it's been very intense, but I think we did pretty well. So thank you for the comments. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Gustavo. So I believe now we have a very good insights to kick off our conversation about customer experience. So in order to do that, I will share a few slides with you, if I am allowed to do that. News, customer experience is actually the most exciting business opportunity in 2020. Well, the reason is very simple, because the companies that focus on customer experience actually reduce churn rate and increase revenues, leading to higher profits. Here you can see the numbers from the 2020 Digital Marketing Trends Report by ADAP that asked 30,000 global companies, and they indicated that actually the single most exciting opportunity for their organization in the upcoming year and beyond is a customer experience. But actually, when we speak about customer experience, what are we talking about and how does it impact the business? Customer experience is actually defined by the interactions and experiences that your consumers have with your business throughout the entire customer journey, a funnel, right? From the first contact to becoming a happy and hopefully a loyal customer. And according to a global customer experience study of Oracle, you see that 74% of senior executives believe that customer experience impacts the willingness of a customer to be a loyal advocate of a brand. And if you want your customers to stay loyal, of course, you will have to invest in customer experience. But customer experience, it's not only about investments, it's also about the execution. And what we see that since 2010, managing the omni-channel customer experience, and omni-channel in big term of the word, because even if you're a marketplace, the last mile delivery is very physical and the experience of your product is also physical. So this management of the customer experience becomes more and more complex. You see here that these are actually the tools to manage this customer experience. And today consumers expect very easy and valuable experiences that we in 2010 could not even imagine. You can see that social media and engagement is the top priority for the companies. I also would like to highlight the customer data management at scale, because you saw also during our survey that poor quality of data was a very complicated and maybe challenging task to handle, as well as content management. And also, last but not least, I would want to talk later about mobile engagement, because mobile is actually becoming the new trend for customer experiences. So today at 2020, it's the era of artificial intelligence. The modern customer journey, as I have already mentioned, is very complex and unpredictable, and it can only be understood and managed in real time, putting customer data at the center. Leena was explaining to us how actually they understand the needs of the moms, right, on every point of their motherhood. So I believe there is also a need for some data analytics behind these insights. And you can see that actually the analysis of data is the major priority for the companies. Again, this unique customer, the golden customer record, is further used by the companies to offer personalized offers, right? We are speaking here about on-site personalization, which is the second largest answer by the companies. Also automated campaigns, so personalization and automation of these different processes with the help of artificial intelligence. So I would like now to give the floor to our speakers. And so these are the numbers from across the world, right? Let's speak about the MENA region. Starting from 2010, we saw the continuous digitization of the customer experience management by the companies. So could you please explain what is your vision, what has been done so far, And what are the trends that you see further in the region? And maybe again, we can start with Leena, because Mom's World, you launched it in 2011. And with this, customer experience was the core value proposition to your consumers. So could you please tell us, how did you manage to launch it, and how did you evolve with your customer experience tools, and also maybe some automation or personalization involved in your business?
I think when Mom's World launched, the tools and the expertise in the region really limited how much we could apply in terms of global solutions to the local consumer. In addition, the consumer wasn't ready. So although Dubai was a little bit ahead of the rest of the region, but overall the consumer wasn't ready to jump into e-commerce. In the last 5 years, we've seen a complete shift. The consumer is ready, they're buying globally. Even if you look at custom data, the data of items coming cross-border, everything is coming across the border. Whereas before it was very specific items. I understand that one of the biggest things people buy and import is coffee. I think that's changed in the last year since COVID, because we've brought a lot of coffee into town. But people will go very far to get what they want, and they're very familiar with global platforms. So as we've evolved, and in the last 5 years, even Mom's World has shown more personalization, and really we had the data and we were always sourcing things that consumers wanted. So we launched a lot of products that weren't available in the region based on the data that was on Mom's World. So co-sleeping was a very big thing globally, but no retailer in the Middle East 6 years ago was selling it. We actually have a category on our site for that. Now everyone's selling it. So we had a lot of data to help with sourcing. Now the data we have is being used to give each customer a very standardized experience for their needs. So if you have a 1-year-old and your child grows, your experience will also be different, and the data you get and the targeting you get is very, very different. And because we're working with the mom from when she's pregnant until the child is 12 years old, we need to work with her on all that data. And we don't ask any questions on the website. So you'll find that additional information is optional, but we're still able to collect a lot of data that will help us understand how old your children are, what your needs are, and what's the price point you're looking for, is to target you with, to help you basically, to help you along with in your journey. But we are using multiple partners globally, because now the region has the expertise, and many of these partners are available in the Middle East.
Well, thank you, Leena. So now let's look about this very short-term crisis situation, COVID-19, and how actually technology helped to manage the e-commerce. Nick, could you please tell us your story? So I know that during the crisis, you have launched a few websites across the GCC. Could you please speak more about this imposed expansion journey and how technology helped you to scale across various geographies in the region?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was mute. Absolutely. As you know, Chalhoub Group is very focused or very strong when it comes to offline retail. And the last couple of years, we've been in transformation, and we have built the foundation to become better and better at online and e-commerce as well, to eventually deliver the perfect omni-channel experience between our magnificent luxury brands, and then extending the joy online as well. And we've been starting that journey, and COVID has been a great accelerator for that, because when you don't have the pressure to do things, there's always something else. Launching a new website, launching a new territory, a new market, it's not something you do in 1, 2, 3, you would say. So it takes a lot of planning. And if you're part of a larger organization, a larger corporation, which we are, we're 12,000 people in Chalhoub Group, things tend to go slower than when you work in a small startup. And with COVID-19, what happened is that we all went into hardcore startup mode immediately. So I remember that so Faces.com had Saudi Arabia and UAE online. on the 15th of March, we got the news that Kuwait was going to lock down. And at the end of the week, we launched faces.com/KW. So Kuwait was live within 7 days. So if there's no excuses anymore, if there's no alternative, you can make it happen. And 2 weeks after we launched Qatar, and 2 weeks after Qatar, we launched we launched Egypt in first, and then 2 weeks after we launched Qatar. So in a matter of 5 to 6 weeks, we went from 2 countries to 5 countries. And without the whole Corona situation, that we would have never thought that would have been possible for a large corporation like Chalhoub Group. And it's not only faces.com. So all our brands have expanded into multiple markets within a span of 4 to 8 weeks. And I don't think technology is an enabler. And so that's the foundation. And luckily, we've been starting our transformation journey 2.5 years ago, because otherwise it wouldn't have been possible from a technology point of view. But in the end, it's the mindset. It's when you don't have an alternative and you have the right people in the organization, it's a matter of just flicking that switch and just go all in. And then you can make it happen. So in the end of the day, technology is just, it's the foundation. Whether you have a Magento or Salesforce or Shopify or WooCommerce, that doesn't really matter. It's the mindset of making it happen. And that all of a sudden, was really, really present. We went in hardcore startup mode as 12,000 people.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Nick. It's indeed a very exciting expansion journey. And as you said, it's all about mindset. And I believe that, it's not only about the mindset, but it's also about this obsession about your customer, right? And understanding their needs and then using technology as a tool. And I believe that the indicator that your customers are happy is not only the ability to expand and to reach out to new customers online, but also to make the customers stay and to keep their loyalty. So I would like to talk about the customer loyalty, and not only from the perspective of loyalty programs, but actually loyalty that comes from a great experience. So maybe Nader, can you explain to us how do you manage, what's your competitive advantage as a grocer, and how do you manage these expectations of your consumers?
Absolutely. I think the first part always goes back to understanding the shopper from our side. So understanding the shopper and the shopper journey. In grocery shopping, there's many different shopping missions, what we call, and really drilling down on understanding each mission and making sure we're able to satisfy as many missions as possible. That's the starting point for us. And that's, as a marketplace where we aim to have not just great partner stores that can help us achieve multiple missions, but also within each mission, having, the variety, the content, the products, and everything integrated in the right way so that you can give the right experience when they come to the platform. The loyalty is built, over time. It's not something that comes in a day or two. There's 2 components to building that experience. One is from a product point of view, a continuous evolution. So, one of the things that we noticed, as opposed to other traditional, e-commerce platforms, in a grocery shopping mission, you're buying 10, 15, 20 items on average at a time. So, searching for one item at a time may not be very convenient. So one of the innovations we brought is, you can copy paste your shopping list, you get a customized aisle, you get a customized view of these are the items you're looking for. So rather than having to search and navigate through tens of thousands of products, you can navigate within, the things that you're looking for. Other things that we've developed, given that grocery shopping is a very high frequency need. So you're going to come week after week. Something that we've developed is a very simple, it's among the frequently purchased products, your previously purchased products. So this automatically becomes your aisle within the store, within the larger store. So, you know, a combination of these two things for us has been very important to kind of show the customer we're looking at the journey, we're looking at their specific requirements, especially when it comes to groceries, and, you know, building and innovating on that. And we're always looking, you know, from qualitative feedback, from data and analysis, you know, how is the customer behaving, and how as a product, first of all, we can, you know, innovate and bring new components that will enhance the experience. And that's how the first part of loyalty is built. And the second part is more in terms of the service. So, you know, working with trusted partners hand in hand, you know, discussing about the bottlenecks, the challenges, as well as, you know, enabling that with, you know, other services, whether it's the last mile logistics, whether it's the data analytics and continuous improvement. It's a journey. It's never something that can be built, you know, in a day. It's really about day after day, time after time they come, especially with a very high frequency kind of need, showing the customer that there is we're evolving with you in this journey, and we're providing you, you know, new experiences that maybe you didn't even expect.
Thank you, Nader. Gustavo, so you had a very extensive experience in different companies and also sectors, right, in e-commerce. So could you possibly share with us the precise examples of how you use technology and, you know, the use cases, how you based your customer experience on the technology?
Yeah, so like you were saying, loyalty comes from a great experience that users can't wait to come back to. So it's not about points. You know, no one wants points to repeat an experience that they didn't like. It's like getting paid in a currency of a country that doesn't exist. So it's useless, right? So what I recommend is to map out your experience and use data to optimize, understand where users are struggling, and fix all of the problems that they may have. And after that, try to smash their expectations. So if you understand that, you know, they expect the delivery to come in 3 days, do it in the next day or the same day. Just as an example, when I was at Virgin, we knew that we built everything in a way where we could deliver a SIM card from the app in half an hour. 90-something% of the cases. But in the app, we set an expectation of under 1 hour, which is still really high. So when people got it in half an hour, they were mind blown. I had a friend of mine, for example, who got it in 5 minutes because the driver was just passing by, and he called me saying, "No, under 1 hour, are you better than Amazon? No way." And then it arrived in like 5 minutes, and he's like, "Okay, you've got me." So those are the users that are loyal, right? The ones that, you know, can't shut up about your product because they've been you know, surprised.
Okay, thanks a lot. So let's speak now about the omni-channel customer experience, and also it's on a broader scale, right? When we speak about omni-channel, for instance, Gustavo, you were talking about the last mile delivery, and this is also, you know, even if you're a pure player, a part of your service is being physical. So I want to share with you a few slides again, and just to put for thought for our conversation. So basically, it's time to invest in omni-channel customer experience. And in fact, the PwC in its 2020 report found that the number of companies investing in the omni-channel experience for the past 10 years has jumped from 20% to more than 80%. And adding to this, the ADAP report actually found that companies with the strongest omni-channel customer engagement strategies enjoy a 10% year-on-year growth, a 10% increase in an average order value, and a 25% increase in close rate. It sounds like a no-brainer to invest in omni-channel customer experience. And just to understand, you know, how can you manage this, I would like to share with you the CMS Wire framework, which is called the 3 C's of omnichannel customer experience. So basically, to win in this battle, first of all, you need to be consistent. So customers expect that their experience with their brand and retailer will be consistent, independent of the device, channel, or location by which they interact with it. Compelling, meaning it should be with the pace of innovation. And also, you know, if you speak about different customers like Generation Z, Y, etc., they are very much into tech. So we were talking about personalization and artificial intelligence that helps to do personal offerings. And of course, the new trend, especially after COVID-19, the concept of shoppable videos. And the last but not least, the customer experience should be candid. So it should be authentic, which is another critical touch point for successful customer engagement. And one of the example is actually user-generated content. You know, the online product reviews by users and also the personal images and videos that drive greater engagement. So now I want to ask our speakers, have you ever used any of these metrics, like for instance, the shoppable videos or user-generated content? And have you used technology to manage these processes? Who would like to take?
Well, if I can jump in, with Faces, we're constantly experimenting. We're in the experimental phase, so we're absolutely not as advanced as my colleagues are yet, but we'll get there. So we're all about experimentation right now, and again, as I said, technology is just an enabler, and I really believe in doing a lot of things in the beginning manually. In French, they would call it à la bonne heure, and then see what sticks, and then scaling it in a technological way. So using technology to scale things rather than to set it up. And for instance, when you talk about user-generated content, what we do is we're just monitoring social media on specific hashtags, and whenever people create beautiful pictures, videos, boomerangs about our products that they've bought and or promotions that they shopped, for instance, buy one get one, or if they receive their beautiful little box with a free gift, and people make pictures or videos about that. And if it's really nice and it gets a lot of response, if it starts to trend, we just reach out to these people and ask if we can use it in our advertising. So we create an ambassador, because these people, trust me, once we've reached out to them as faces, and tell them and recognize them that what they're doing is amazing, with the question, can we use your artwork on our official channels, even in advertising campaigns? These people are our #1 ambassadors for life. And also the fact that they made this and their friends like it actually tells us that this is working. So why would we invest in inventing hot water again if our customers are doing it? So user-generated content and using, I don't want to call it a crowdsourced way of seeing if it works or not, but the results have been fabulous, and we're looking for a way to scale this up in our day-to-day operations. So whenever we have something new, and whenever we have new promotions, new campaigns coming up, we monitor social media. We see what we can use from our customers to promote that, to be closer, and to minimize our own investment in terms of content, and to maximize the impact. Because if it works on their own channels, it for sure will work on our channels.
Thank you, Nick. Well, actually, you mentioned that for you, using technology is a bit test and trial, right? So you try to do it first manually, then you see whether the results are quite satisfactory, etc. So my next question is actually, when you are using technology, there should be some KPIs, right? There should be something that you can measure in order to understand whether you're performing or not performing with this particular technology. So Gustavo, maybe you can explain to us what are the particular KPIs that you are tracking?
Yeah, I mean, we track a lot of things. So if I have to pick one, so the moment of truth is really like the repurchase rate. So if people are coming back to buy it for free without you having to retarget them. That tells you if you have a product that is sticky, that people enjoy. As a framework, I like the pirate metrics. I don't know if you know them. It's basically acquisition, activation, retention, referrals, revenue. So they all together sound R, like a pirate, which is very silly but easy to remember. And there's, depending on the business model of each company, you'll pick different metrics for conversion rates. Then for retention, you might have the retention rates, lifetime value. For referral, you might have NPS or social shares or whatever. And then all of these result in revenue, basically. So revenue is a result of actionable metrics that you need to understand how to move them. So you need to get very, very scientific about understanding what moves your main KPIs. So for example, I know at Amchi, the factors that move conversion rate the most are selection, availability, and pricing. So, the right product in your size at a good price, and then delivered fast. My job is to basically remove the barriers and make the experience as seamless as possible and add a few behavioral nudges here and there. So the experience is seamless. But you really need to understand what moves the needle the most so you can impact it.
Okay, thanks a lot. Well, Leena, maybe you also can explain to us, how do you track, the performance of your customer experience? Do you have any specific KPIs that help you improve this customer experience over time?
So we actually look at type of inquiries, like what type of inquiries do we get? And specifically product related. So the more, because our products are very technical, it would have been nice if we were a fashion site and it was its car seats are pretty tough to buy. So I think part of our experience is how easy it is to buy and to learn about the products and to compare them. So the higher the inquiries, the higher the questions we have about our products, it means that we're not delivering a great experience on the site. We also run surveys and we look at bounce rate on the site, and we use different engines to look at, because we have 12 different buying experiences on our website. So the person who comes in to buy a snack is a completely different person. It could be me, but on the day I'm buying snacks for my children, I'm a different person to the day I come in because I want to buy a car seat or a stroller. My mindset is different, my conversion is different, and everything about me is different. So trying to capture that experience and that kind of mood. So we work very closely on that. So we try to categorize your pain points per your experience, and it could be the same consumer. So during back to school, we're looking at different things. So why are you buying certain items from us, not others? And that really depends on a lot of matrix we look at. Why are bags converting better than pencils? It could just be that they're not connected in that experience, or on that, like you said, we spoke about the aisle. It's not very well connected in the aisle. So the consumer is not finding it easy to connect all the products. So we not only look at the consumer experience, but we look at the need experience. And this is a big thing in Mom's World, because we really are tracking your need. Because as you're one person, so you could shop for yourself for makeup, or you could shop for your child, or you could shop for your home. So it's a bedroom or a carpet. So it's really looking at the need experience and trying to track that using the data we have and the engines we have.
Okay, thanks a lot, Leena. So my next question will be to Nader. And Nader, we've talked about trust, right? Building trust and facilitating this experience online that will actually make people be comfortable enough to purchase products. And one of the most important aspects of it is, of course, secure payments. So could you please explain to us, with the perspective on food delivery, right? What's your vision on the best payment options that you can provide to customers in MENA? And maybe you can also touch upon cash on delivery or card on delivery. So, and the transit of the payment systems that we've seen now after COVID-19.
Absolutely. I think the first part of trust is it comes with the right set of partners that we have on the platform. So once the shopper comes into our platform, sees the brands and the retail brands that are available on our platform, that already establishes, it's like, oh, if those people are partnered with El Grocer is a, trusted, reputable marketplace platform that I can, start my shopping journey from. And once they do that, I mean, pre-COVID, we've always, being a hyper-local delivery, more of an instant 1 to 2 hours sort of thing. Was always a cash on delivery or card on delivery. In fact, around 65 to 70% was always card on delivery. So we actually had the machines, it goes from the store, customer pays by card. So that was something that was always interesting for us. And we launched online payments with most of our partners right with COVID, which was a fortunate thing for us because it really did help convert, more people who were looking for a cashless option, where we're seeing this kind of split now in the stores that do have them. Around half of the card on payment is moving to online payments. And we typically see a nice shift in behavior. So after you've done 1 or 2 transactions, if you've opted for cash or card on delivery, and you're saying that, okay, I'm receiving the products, it's on time, the quality is great, everything is as expected, I'm comfortable to set up my card on it. So we see this very quick shift after just 1 or 2 orders, most typically within the same month, of people adding their card so they can, make it more seamless as well. We expect this to be rolled out, and with COVID coming in, to be, more, let's say, seamless and going into more partners and more transactions going online. We work with, payment gateway, Payforward, so it has also been very supportive during this period in terms of, support campaigns and things like that. So it's from a security perspective, we definitely rely on the right partners as well.
Well, thanks a lot, Nader. I would like to tackle a question about mobile customer experience. But prior to this, I would also invite all our attendees to ask questions. We'll have a session, a Q&A session after we finish with our conversation. So please feel free to use this opportunity and to ask the most relevant questions that you would like to ask our honorable speakers. So let me share again my screen. Voila. So basically, mobile in 2020 has become a priority for digital customer experience. According to StatCounter, 52% of all internet traffic now comes from mobile, with desktop usage being in decline. So it comes to no surprise as customer-centric companies are now focusing. You can see that actually 55% of respondents said that a bad mobile experience make me less likely to engage with a company. And more than a half of the respondents said that if I really like the brand or company, I'm disappointed if the mobile side is a bad experience. So maybe we can have a viewpoint, and maybe we can start with Nick. So do you have a mobile application, and how do you manage this? So you expanded rapidly, right, with your e-commerce website. Did you envisage the same rapid expansion in terms of mobile usage?
So currently we don't have the app yet, but we're planning to launch it very soon, because obviously mobile usage is huge in the region. If it's already big in the UAE, then it's gigantic in Saudi Arabia, and then with our expansion into Kuwait, for instance, we see that it's in Qatar. The mobile usage is even more in those countries. So GCC is all about mobile experience, and yeah, we've done quite some extensive research already to what our competitors are doing. And obviously the numbers are very promising to launch our app because you have that ecosystem for retention, as Gustavo already said, and Nader also already said. Acquisition is one thing, but you want to retain your audience. You want them to stay on board, obviously. because if a customer is happy with buying an amazing Chanel perfume, they will most probably also enjoy buying great La Mer skincare products and your makeup, for instance. So we want to create that universe for our customers, and we will make that investment, obviously, because I don't think I come from Europe, obviously, and there, whenever people talked about apps, I started cringing a little bit, because, you know, 5 years ago, everyone was talking about, let's build apps, let's launch apps. And especially in Europe, that was I was the first one to say, don't think about that. Just have a great mobile experience. Start with a perfectly responsive website first. Focus on a perfect omni-channel experience first, and then think about an app. But over here in the Middle East, I think the mobile usage is just that big, and the customer journey is completely different. Where I had to change my opinion, and I think here it's necessary. If you don't have an app, then it's hard to survive. Obviously, you need to make sure that the app makes sense. If you only have 7 SKUs to sell, then you need to have content. You have to provide something else. But I think that customers and the people in the Middle East are just so hooked on their mobile that it's almost necessary to have. And by the way, I'm not gonna share all our insights, obviously, but for instance, search in the GCC, mainly Arabic search, is predominantly happening in the App Store rather than on Google search. So GCC users are mainly going to use the App Store to find what they want. So if they're looking for makeup, their first, so 50-50. So half of the population will go to Google or a search engine, whether it's Google, Bing, or whatever. And the other 50% will go to the App Store and type makeup. So just an indication how important it is. So we have been losing out or missing out, but we will for sure accelerate. And
yeah, well, thanks a lot, Nick. I see that Gustavo and Nader agree with you. Do you have any comment on the mobile apps and mobile websites?
Yeah, I mean, just echoing a little bit what Nick said. There's also a matter of focus, right? If you have a small team and you're an emerging brand and you're just growing, people tend to discover you from web. So you shouldn't neglect your web experience in order to build an app and be too stretched. So once you have a really good experience, then people come back and you're not a leaky bucket. Once you have the resources to build both and maintain both, I recommend to build an app. It's great for retention, but also you need to consider where you know the maturity of your company.
Sure. And Nader, maybe from the Grocer perspective.
For us, for us, it was actually the other way around. We started app first, and I think even for the first year and a half, 2 years, we had only an app. And even today, 90% of our business is through the app. Again, grocery is something that you will come at least once a week, if not multiple times a week. You know, with the number of different partners we have, with the experience that you need to have. So app was for us always first, and everything we do revolves, first and foremost around the app. In fact, for us, the opportunity may be slightly different, that we're missing out on web because we came later and there's a lot of improvements to be done there. But again, given the mobile penetration and the customers in this region being more mobile first, we keep our focus in providing the best and the first on app.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
if I could choose, I would have done the same, honestly. Nader, if I could have that opportunity, I rather started with an app and then build web than the opposite. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. I look at the time, and before we go to the questions, I would like to ask each of you to give your last word about customer experience, and actually, what do you think would be the key success factor of managing this omni-channel customer experience in 2020? Whom should we start with? So,
I would say ladies first.
yes, I was suggesting this too. So Leena?
So your question is about the challenges in 2020?
Yes, and the key success factor, according to you, to make your customers happy.
I think choosing 2020 is the tough part of the question. So
exactly,
is what's going to happen in 2020. So I think for us to be agile and able to react very quickly to changes in data and consumer behavior is going to make sure we succeed. It's not going to be about building something amazing or launching something big. It's basically staying on top of the daily changes and trends. So, 2 weeks ago we weren't traveling, now we are. Maybe in 2 weeks we're not traveling again. So the consumer himself is not sure in 2020 what they're doing. I mean, I have 3 children. I don't know what's happening. I don't know whether to buy uniform, not to buy uniform, to buy, going out shoes or to buy more pajamas. So I think we're keeping 2020 to a very agile, reactive team that's really listening to the consumer and just staying on top of the changes and very close to government announcements. Nothing, unfortunately, yeah.
Thank you. So Gustavo, maybe you can continue.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of uncertainty, and you need to understand your user and be very empathic and try to adapt as fast as possible to the situation and see what they need. Try to get the best of the opportunities. Whenever there's a crisis, there's an opportunity, so you have to find how to make the most of this situation. Someone will end up winning and will end up stronger. So for online, we have a lot of challenges, but at the same time, the e-commerce penetration in the market is not very high, and I assume will grow a lot during these times because a lot of people are getting exposed to e-commerce for the first time. So I really, really hope that we will be better off after all of this, but we will be on our toes for a while, adapting every day. We're working weekends. We're making sure that we're listening to the pulse of the user and customizing the experience, making it better, listening and understanding.
Thank you, Gustavo. Nader?
I think there's 2 parts here. One is consistency with the new scale everyone is having. I think with more orders, bigger baskets, ensuring that the processes, the technology, the consistency is there across the customer experience, whether it starts from the technology all the way to delivery, all the way to customer service. We're talking about much bigger volumes that e-commerce in general as an industry hasn't faced. So making sure the consistency at previous scale versus current scale is definitely something very different. So I think everyone is going through adjusting, processes with, like Leena mentioned, a lot of uncertainty. So, how to staff accordingly, how to make sure you have enough people, how to make sure they're all well trained. So this making sure these playbooks that everyone has is updated to manage this new reality, to maintain the consistency that has been being gradually built. Now you need to build it at a much higher level. And of course, the second part, which was mentioned, is like innovating to new needs. I think customer habits are changing. Yes, a lot of the similar previous habits are there, maybe in new shapes and forms, but a lot of new habits are being formed now. They say it takes 21 days to build a new habit. I think we're well past 21 days. So I think it's really important to keep an ear out and try to understand more deeply, what to build for the future, so that the customers, when they are building those habits, to be ready for it.
Thank you, Nader. Nick, your last word about customer.
Yeah, so for our, I obviously agree with my colleagues over here. Obviously, for us, our challenge will be because we're a larger group. So if I look at it from Chalhoub Group's point of view, is to deal with this new situation with a different customer behavior. Although we're seeing very positive signals in the markets, of people buying again. We need to adjust to what is happening. If there was already a big need for omni-channel retail, it has been proven that this trend will only continue, and we really need to invest more. We need to go harder into it, and we need to make sure that that omni-channel experience is real. And what happened with COVID, we were already very strong in offline retail. I think Chalhoub Group is known for its dominance in the market for being an incredibly well retailer when it comes to offline. With COVID, we had the acceleration in online as well. We started it 2.5 years ago, but the acceleration really came because of COVID right now. And this year will be the part where we close that gap between being market leader in offline luxury retail and picking up online. And then I think in 21, it will be key for us to link those experiences together. So that will be our key challenge, because we have a responsibility as a huge family group. We have a responsibility to employ a lot of people and to future-proof themselves as well. Although we are shifting towards a more online business, you can't say, or you can't be satisfied by saying, okay, every year we will need less staff offline, and then we will get more new people for online. No, we as a family business, we are responsible to future-proof these people, to move people from store to online. If you have a visual merchandising background for store, why wouldn't you be able to transition into visual merchandising online? And that will be one of our challenges as Chalhoub Group, because we have the advantage and disadvantage of having a massive footprint offline as well, and that will be for us a big opportunity / challenge.
Yes, and we wish you best of luck in that. That's definitely a very exciting but a challenging journey. So Justina, maybe we can move to the questions. I see that there are around 20 questions in our Q&A section.
Yeah. Let's take one from Boris Ziegler. He says, most participants talked about the online experience or pre-purchase part of customer journey. How much or do they pay attention to the post-purchase stage of customer journey? Everything that happens after the buy now button, tracking, delivery, packaging, out of box, returns and refunds. Do you know how do you perform to market average, industry and market e-com leaders, especially those who shape expectations? Anybody who'd like to take this?
I can take it. Yeah, so it's super important. As I mentioned before, a big part of retention comes from the last mile. So if you deliver on the expectation fast, if I compare Namshi with certain competitors, we are in a good spot, but we're never satisfied. So we're always dissatisfied with the current situation and trying to get better, which sometimes means rethinking things and cutting costs somewhere so you can add more cars or whatever. But it's absolutely very, very, very important. It's one of the most important things when you think about if you had a bad experience with an e-commerce. Getting a late delivery or a wrong delivery is always top of the list.
Okay, thank you, Gustavo. Anybody else would like to give a comment on the same?
We try to obviously pay a lot of attention once the customer has hit buy now and has transacted. Of course, it's I think that is one of the biggest evolutions in the region as well, if I may, or if I can chime in on that. I think that we moved from a very heavy focus on acquisition, marketing, price even, or just even availability and price, towards a much more shopper experience that is driven by convenience, retention, and experience. And I think that is one of the main evolutions that I have seen happening here in the region, and I think that it's retailers or startups or whatever players that understand that will win, and people and the companies that don't understand and are still focusing on acquisition, they will lose eventually. So yeah, it's a very good question. Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, should we take one more question, Katia? Okay, a question from Marut Zargar. What are the new innovative tech solutions seen during COVID, especially in our retail sector? We understand that the temporary shift was from brick and mortar to e-commerce, but with the opening of malls and lockdown relaxations, this trend will shift back, maybe exponentially. But how can we gear up? Anybody who'd like to take this?
Does the person mean in-store technology, or from store to online, online to store?
I believe from an e-commerce perspective, how would you be able to retain now the customers? Because obviously with everything being relaxed, again, people are going back to brick and mortar versus relying only on online shopping.
Yeah, if I can, what Gustavo said before, I really believe that. So if you want to offer something online, you need to be you need to try to be at least on par with the offline experience, which is still amazing. If you look at this part in the world, we're quite good at offline retail. So the offline experience is great, and you need to offer something that is up to par to that. So and there's a lot of let's say these gimmicks that can solve real pain points. So for instance, a virtual try-on is something that is quite hot. One big thing that we're looking at is a foundation tool. So the ladies that are following will know this pain point if you shop online for foundation. You know your specific foundation shade for one brand, but will that match with the other brands? You never know, or you need to click. In a store, it's much easier. So having a foundation tool where you can just enter your favorite shade of one brand, and then it matches all the other shades of different products. That's solving a pain point of the customer online, and trying to lift your online experience up to the point of where it is online. But it comes back down to finding the pain point in your online journey, and then solving it through something. And it could be giving more content, but it could be solving with an AR tool, or with something that is smarter, like a foundation tool or a gift finder tool, virtual try on, fragrance finder. You know your favorite scent, but how are you going to find out if the new Penhaligon's fragrance is the same note as you like with your Dior perfume? So having that fragrance finder, for instance, online on your app, that helps. So we obviously are looking into all these solutions. Unfortunately, we don't have them yet, but we've mapped pain points, and we're slowly but surely integrating solutions.
Amazing. Thank you, Nick. Anybody else who'd like to add?
I think from a grocery point of view, we didn't see a brick and mortar suffer. In fact, it was the opposite. The hospitality sector hit with more people, having to cook at home and consume more at home. So I think the whole industry experienced a good uplift. But having said that, I think people also historically have always viewed, physical grocery shopping as a chore. It's a very repetitive task. So I think the power of, e-commerce definitely is a new habit that is experienced and going to establish more, is how much this helps save time. So, this 1 or 2 hour kind of weekly trip can be, in a matter of minutes. I can find my items much faster. My previously purchased are there. If I forget something, the app will remind me. So I think that helps save time and bring the convenience to the shopper. But having said that, I think post-COVID also brings some interesting habits. Like people now want to spend less time outside. They still want to go out, but they want to spend less time out. So I think it's the question of how can e-commerce and digital and online help offline from that perspective as well. So these are some of the things that we've been exploring.
Amazing, Nader. And do you think the percentage that has now become habitual of buying online, you believe they will fully be retained when things go back a little bit to normal in your industry?
Yeah, I think it will definitely. It has, and I think it has stabilized at a much higher level to what it was pre-COVID. Because, like I said, the main convenience factor and the time factor, people have experienced this. So I think people are now saying, "Oh, okay, I maybe don't need to visit the store that often if I can get it." I think it's really established this whole industry at a much higher level, and still we're talking about, at best estimates, pre-COVID, the grocery online was maybe 1%. Now it's maybe 10% in total market perspective. So there's still a huge chunk for it to grow there.
Very nice. Thank you, Nader. Anybody else who'd like to add?
I think, just to conclude, I think it's coming back to the trust. So maybe 90% of the population has bought online, but they might have not bought their bananas online, or their meat, or their fish. I think what COVID did was allow you to do that test. Maybe you ordered your bananas or your tomatoes, your meat that you've never done before, and you actually feel now secure and you can trust the system. Whereas before you were only okay ordering something that was, very guaranteed. Maybe before you never bought your foundation online. I would never buy my foundation online, but now with the tools, you probably tested something you haven't done before because you had to. And we saw that a lot, where what we saw in COVID is not new customers, because our category is very specific and it's very hard for a mom to shop. And we're able to give her lots of things that she would otherwise have to visit multiple malls to do. But what we found is moms who weren't shopping from all our categories were actually testing new categories they haven't been to before. So they were expanding the basket. And I think this is what COVID really did. And this is where the technology comes in, where people are willing to use the technology. It's available. Maybe we've tested it before, but we didn't see the utilization, but now we're seeing more utilization.
Amazing. Thanks, Leena. So Katia, would you like to conclude?
Yes, I think, taking into account the time limits, right, I would just like to thank all of our honorable speakers who have been together with us. So thanks a lot for sharing your opinion on customer experience. I hope you enjoyed yourselves this conversation. Please, we will be sharing the recording. So if you would like to share with your companies, your colleagues, feel free to do that. And a special thank you to Retail Middle East and to Justina for hosting this session. So Justina, thank you very much.
Thank you, Katia. I believe this was an incredible discussion. I think the audience will join me in acknowledging how rich and insightful this session has been. Once again, a big thank you to our amazing speakers. Thank you, Katia, great moderation. And thank you, Brandquad, for helping us in our initiative. To our dear audience, we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to welcoming you back to our next roundtable very soon. Stay tuned and stay safe until next time. Thank you.